that shocked no one. The US Senate acquitted Donald Trump earlier today, and in Trump's inimitable style, he was quick to score points online. I tell you what, wouldn't you love to be with Nancy Pelosi as she watches that ad? Oh, my goodness. I want to get into a whole lot of stuff from the US and also the UK. There's a lot happening over there. John BERCOW, you remember he was the Commons Speaker in the UK Commons. Well, he's being now hounded by BlackRock, and I think with some justification, but I'll get into all of that in a moment with my terrific Thursday stalwarts. They're not going anywhere all year. I know you love them. They're going to stay here with me. Co-host of Outsiders, opinion editor at the Daily Telegraph, Mr James Morrow, and former Senator for South Australia, one-time UN observer, and now Sky News contributor, Mr Cory Bernardi. All right, James, I'm going to start with you. Quick wrap of a little bit of interesting things happening in the US. Of course, there was the State of the Union. I think Trump was wrong not to shake Nancy Pelosi's hand, but then she was just out of control to tear up his speech. And, of course, the Iowa caucuses and the impeachment. You know, much to do about nothing. What do you reckon about it all?
Well, look, I mean, I think Nancy Pelosi is a lot like school on Sunday, no class. You know, the way she acted after that speech, tearing that up in front of full view of everybody, after this really rousing speech where he had a lot of good news, including about minority employment, where all the Democrats just sat on their hand. It was just an amazing performance. It made hours of campaign ads for Trump. And then, you know, the impeachment and Iowa, you just saw that the Democrats are now so deranged by Trump and his presence, they cannot treat him like a normal person, so they wind up acting completely abnormally and wind up stepping on rakes every step of the way. Yeah, I still think he should have taken her hand and just, you know, in the words of Michelle Obama, if they go low, you go high. I mean, I've met Pelosi, and I've sat in meetings with her a couple of times. I have to say, Cory, she is a piece of work. Now, Trump might be too. I've never met him personally. But, you know, she is, well, she's a poster child for him to win, I think. Put her in every single ad and you'll get your base out, Donald Trump.
Peter, I agree with you, both on Nancy Pelosi being a piece of work and electoral poison for the Democrats. But he should have shaken her hand. And evidence I saw today online is that she'd sort of ripped the speech a little bit during it in order to facilitate her feeble hands being able to tear these 6 pieces of paper in preparation for her stunt. Nobody trolls the left like Donald Trump, and nobody triggers them like Donald Trump.
All right, I want to stay with you, Cory. Interesting developments in the UK. Boris Johnson wants to bring in some emergency terrorist sentencing laws. Right now, if a terrorist is in jail, halfway through the sentence, doesn't matter what the sentence is, no matter how bad they are, they get put up for parole. And we've seen 2 cases where they've been let out of prison and they've gone immediately onto the streets and killed Londoners. Now, one of the problems they have with this legislation is all bound up in EU human rights laws, which is one of the whole reasons they fought so long to get out of Brexit. It can't happen in Australia. There isn't the presumption on release in Australia that there is in the UK, but this makes the Brexit point loudly and clearly, doesn't it?
Absolutely it does, and I think the UK should ditch the European laws and the legacies that go with it. But ultimately, parole boards make decisions. They make really stupid decisions. We've seen that here in Australia, and they're obviously making them over there. So I think that needs some reform. Whether this is the best instrument to do it, I don't know. But Boris is clearly playing to a political base.
Now, James Morrow, one thing I wish we had here in Australia was a levy for the ABC rather than just wrapped up in the Commonwealth budget. I wish people had to pay for it every single year like they do in the UK. They pay a BBC levy. It's £154, about 300 Aussie dollars. But by paying it, you then are more invested in the product, and if you're not happy with it, you get cranky. Well, Boris Johnson is finding more and more people don't want to pay for the BBC, they don't want to pay the levy, and he wants to bring in a criminal offence for not paying it. What do you make of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, this whole thing where it's been a criminal offence not to pay that levy, that licence fee they call it in Britain, that just, I think, it's nuts. We don't understand that here because we just pay for it through our taxes. But with everything, with all the platforms that you have to get television, with media and everything, you don't need the BBC anymore. So they basically presume that if you're not paying it, you're cheating on this law. Boris is absolutely right to be going after the BBC. They have been completely biased against him every step of the way, and they really need, like the ABC here, they need to be shown what it is to live up to their charter. And I mean, I'd go further with the ABC here. I wouldn't like to see a license fee. I'd like to see them stand on their own 2 feet financially.
Here, put some ads on the ABC. Now, Cory Bernardi, I know that's, music to your ears, but I'm going to run out of time. I want to get you on the black rod because I am no fan of John BERCOW. Right? He was a Tory. He did every single contortion from the Speaker's chair to stop Brexit. Well, Lieutenant General David LEAKEY, who's the black rod, just retired the black rod, he says to give BERCOW a peerage, and that's being pushed by Jeremy Corbyn, would be a scandal, he reckons, that the Parliament would struggle to live down. Where do you sit on this issue?
I'm with the black rod. BERCOW has been an embarrassment to the Parliament. He tried to thwart the will of the people. He wouldn't go along with the Parliament. He tried to stop that at every time. And the reports about the red mist descending and the berations and the accusations of abuse and humiliation means that he's probably not fit for it. So I think the Tories are quite right to resist it, and the fact it's been cheered on by Jeremy Corbyn suggests everything you need to know.
Oh, absolutely, gentlemen. I have to leave it there. We'll make this panel even longer next week. James Morrow, Cory Bernardi.